Hey, time to make some crazy money. Or cars. Crazy Cars, a 1988 game by Titus, the French software company founded in 1985. Went bust in the mid-2000s, and I think Interplay take them over. Anyway, that's irrelevant. Crazy Cars, it's a racing game. And we're going to start off on the Amiga with this rather kind of slightly badly drawn picture of a Ferrari and some equally bad sampled music as well. This game spawned an entire series: Crazy Cars 2, Crazy Cars 3, and even a might be about 2010 remake for the PC and the phones and various things. And yeah, the menu screen isn't too good there, but you start off Crazy Cars, copyright Titus and EH Productions 1987, and released in 88. And this is the Amiga version. And you start off in a Mercedes, you've got to race across America. And yes, you'll already notice the screen is crunched up into a tiny area, and there's not an awful lot going on. The clock counts down the stages, and you race across various states in America. And you can't see there's that much crazy about it, but when you hit hills and things, the car launches into the air in the way cars never do in real life. So you completed stage 1. Bonus time, prepare for the next run. And this is the New York challenge. It's inspired by Outrun, really, isn't it? Except the road doesn't split off. You don't get to choose a route. You're just basically a predefined route with different colours side the road, and my goodness, that side of the road looks really ugly. It's a little bit innovative in that the side of the road looks different from any other racing game, but there's a good reason for that, in that it looks incredibly ugly. The game is fairly empty, but the car handles okay, and it's decently playable. Could do with some music. Over to the ST. Looking very similar to the Amiga version with a less wide road, until you start to come to play it and you realise the car handles much worse than the Amiga version, and that's completely hindered as well by the lack of road width. The car launches into the air for absolutely no reason at all. A slightest bump at any speed and you're off in the air. Which, yeah, it's... And a car smashed through you from behind. Remember WC Le Mans on the C64, I think it was, but it was really annoying. You kept getting smashed from behind by cars you didn't know were there. Yeah, this happens a lot in Crazy Cars. And you'd think the ST and Amiga versions would be fairly close, and they're not. The ST version is incredibly difficult. Much, much harder. I mean, not just a little bit, it's just impossible. It's every 5 or 6 attempts, and I cannot even get off level 1 on the ST. It's absolute madness. Over to the PC, and no matter what type of PC you have, it's CJ, and don't try and run this on a 486, it runs very, very fast. Here we are on an Amstrad PC2086 with V30 processor. Yeah, no EGA option. I mean, I wouldn't expect a VGA option in 1988, but EGA would be nice. Off we go, and it's incredibly fast, even though we're running on pretty much a base spec. Okay, a V30 is slightly faster than an 8086, but you wonder if this game was intended for an XT. It's everything that's bad about the ST version in terms of road width and how the car handles, combined with a game that's just too fast, even on base spec systems. It's absolutely horrible. Audio is horrible, as you'd expect from a PC beeper. There's no sound options that I can see. Obviously it's CGA, so it's not going to look particularly great, but it's no fun at all. Although on this version you can actually go around corners. The cars don't seem to hit you if you stay on the right hand side. It's more likely to be a bug than a feature. Over the C64. My mate had a C64. We didn't play this game an awful lot, but it's not too bad. Well, not at least after you've spent 20 minutes with the PC version struggling to get off level 1. There's a decent sense of speed. The sound effects are really, really annoying. The handling is not good. But the time limits are far more generous than even the Amiga version. Backgrounds change, as do the PC, ST and Amiga, depending on which level you're on. We've completed level 1, we're on to level 2. It doesn't tell you where you are, but the backgrounds do change. Over to the Amstrad. This should be a lead system, considering this is a French game. Horrific choice of background colour there on the loading screen. It says level 1, stage 1 at the top, and it will say that all the time. Well, no, it will stay level 2 stage, and so on. We've always got text up the top there, for no reason at all. We seem to start off on New York on the Amstrad version as opposed to Florida. Decent sense of speed, very empty game though. And all the versions, there's not a lot going on the roadside, other than a few signs and these posts, which also feature on Crazy Cars 2 on the CPC. Over on the Spectrum, it's 48K audio only. It's a 1988 game, remember, so you'd hope for a 1 to 8K sound, but no. Car handles quite well. Very Spartan, like the CPC version. And there's a port for the MSX as well, which is slightly enhanced over the Spectrum version. It's clearly the Spectrum code. You've got that nice sky gradient up there. You're still only racing in the Lamborghini, but there's a little bit more colour. Slightly slower than the Spectrum, but it's ostensibly the Spectrum version. With, well, the Amstrad sound effects. No music or anything like that. Car handle's okay, there's just nothing going on. There's no impetus to even overtake the other cars. Back on the PC, in CGA hell, and I'm on level 2, but I'm just going to run out of time. It's taken me so long just to get this far into level 2. It's horrible. Interested to see how that ran on an XT, because certainly on this V30 it's far too fast, and even on the lowest systems you're going to put some software onto the computer to slow it down. Back on the Amiga, and you know what, I find the Amiga versions amazingly playable, certainly compared to the other versions. It's not a great game, but the car handle's okay. I hesitate to use the word fun, but I'm not bored to tears as I have been in the Spectrum and MSX version, with nothing happening. If cars come up, you need to overtake them. It's repetitive, and there's still no aim to the game other than beat the time limit. But the car handle's okay, there's plenty of width to the road, and it's astonishing how much more playable this is than the ST version. Just such small changes. Go over the line there, and on to the next level. The car should change. We are now in the Porsche, or Porsche, depending on how you pronounce these things. And the game loops around back to Florida. So that's it. The handling of the car changes, so it becomes a little bit harder, but you've seen all the levels now, not there's much to see. There's just a slightly more challenge because the Porsche handles, it skids around a little bit more, basically. It's other than that, there's no difference at all. Once you've mastered it, really, you should be whizzing through in the same kind of times you were in the Mercedes. Why would you have blue on the roadside like that? Wouldn't you just carry on green all the way down? The colour choices are bizarre. Arizona level on the C64. And this isn't a bad race. It's not the worst racing game on the C64. Not the best. It just needs a little bit more to it. But the time limits are fairly generous, so we've got to Arizona, but now rather than get through to California, it's going to reset. Now we're in the Porsche. And on the C64, for all I can see, the car handles exactly the same as the Mercedes. Just needs some music, it needs something. The racing engine itself is fine, actually. Not enough cars on the road, perhaps, not enough stuff going on the side. But for a C64 racer, they've actually done a decent job. You think of all the really terrible C64 racing games that don't hold you as much as this game. This game's not any good, but the basic race engine is absolutely fine, really. You need a few more bits of scenery, but there's a sense of speed. The car's barely controllable. Bit of refinement. Yeah, this would be fairly decent. As I say, it feels like a half-finished game. That's it. It feels half-finished. A few more months in development, it would be fine. And this level looks perfectly solid here as well. It's nice background moves. What's on the screen is absolutely fine. I keep on saying fine. On the CPC. And it's very basic. This is level 9, stage 3. And really not a lot changed on the CPC. You keep on looping round and round and round. There's weird flickering as well, where level 9 and stage 4 appears occasionally, which indicates to me there's some kind of raster interrupt going on, but I can't quite work out why. Because occasionally it just flickers in that area. It's so empty. Crazy Cars 2 suffers from the same problem as well. Over the Spectrum, back on the Spectrum, and we're just plodding on with this level 1, stage 3. By the time you've played a few levels of the game, you've seen it, or stages of the game, rather, you've seen it all. And again, it's a game here on the MSX that feels like it's unfinished. You've got a basic race engine working fine, the speed, nice size of the sprites, and it has changed over to the Porsche now on the MSX here. There's plenty of colours on the screen here as well. Foreground's yellow and black, and we've got sky as well on the MSX. Running out of time on the Amiga. I'm still on the Porsche level, and I'm in Arizona, and I've had a few bad kind of things in the way. I'm not going to make it now. I'm fairly close to the end of the level, but no. That's it. At least the kind of side colours work on the Amiga. For Arizona, at least. And it looks... Sometimes the game has weird glitching, and it's not weird glitching. It's just waiting for things to happen. In this case, it's going to draw a nice kind of game over screen there. It looks quite nice. And the game does that quite a lot. Especially when it first loads up. You have to wait a whole minute for it to do something, but I'm not quite sure what or why. Congratulations, you're one of the fastest men in the world, which is a problem if you're a woman, but hey, girls wouldn't be playing this game, would they? Dear me. Crazy Cars. Well, there's a seed of a good idea in here, but it's just a seed, a start of a good game. The racing engine on the Amiga, the C64, and to an extent the CPC, Spectrum and MSX is fine. Needs a bit more going on at the side track, a few more cars and so on, but actually the speed and handling is okay. On the ST and PC, the handling of the car is appalling. It's terrible. In terms of car handling, it's one of the worst racing games I've ever played, and I played the ST version. I couldn't get off level 1. On the PC version, I struggled to get off level 1, and I just about nearly got to the end of level 2. It's that bad. And as a result, the game on the ST and PC is absolutely diabolically useless. It's horrible. The Amiga version is unquestionably the best version of the game, but it still feels like a knockoff version of Outrun that's half finished. And by goodness, they tried something different with the side of the track, with those kind of colours and that kind of layering of the colours, trying to make it look like grass or sand or what have you. But it is astonishingly ugly. And on all the versions, the game feels empty and half finished. And the way the cars jump in the air is completely unnecessary. I know Lotus does this stuff much, much better. It's a later game, and so does Chase HQ come to that. It's just an impediment to the game. Cars don't jump in the air like that. It's no fun. A lot of French games of this era are accused of being style over substance. Well, the problem is, on many of these versions, Crazy Cars has some style, but has some clever ideas that also look incredibly ugly, but there's absolutely nothing in the game. From the Amstrad to the PC to the Amiga, it feels like a half-finished game with a lot of potential, but none of that has been realised. So hopefully the rest of the games in the series are going to get better, right?